In this video, we're talking about libraries. And libraries in FlutterFlow allow you to publish a FlutterFlow project as a library so that it can be imported and used in other projects. Okay, but what's actually imported from that project? Well, you can import all these resources or just some of them. And this means that there's a lot of different use cases for libraries. Here are three common ones. First, libraries of UI components. In larger organizations, teams working on multiple projects, or if you're one person with multiple projects, consistency and efficiency is key. Libraries allow you to create a shared repository of UI components that can be reused across different apps, ensuring uniformity in design and reducing the time spent on recreating the same components. For instance, you could have a design system with pre-built buttons, cards, and layouts. Second, modularized development. Instead of having one large project that is difficult to maintain, teams can break down the app into smaller, more maintainable modules or libraries. Imagine you're building a healthcare app with multiple sections: patient management, appointment scheduling, and billing. Instead of managing all these features in a single large project, you can create separate libraries for each section. For example, a patient management library could contain all of the UI components, data models, and logic related to handling patient records. Similarly, a billing library could handle invoicing, payments, and financial reports. Each team can work independently on their part of the project, and updates to one section won't impact the rest of the app directly, making collaboration much smoother. And third, integrations. This could be libraries of custom code, API calls and data models, or utility functions. Let's say you've written custom code to integrate a payment gateway like Stripe or PayPal into your FlutterFlow app. Instead of each developer writing the same code for their project, you could publish this integration as a library, and then others can simply import it and use the payment functionality without having to rewrite all of it. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to publish a library, how to import and use it, and how to update them. So let's get into it. So I'm inside this project that's a UI library. I've got my components and I'm ready to publish it for others to use. So you can come down here on your left to settings and this option, publish as a library. Now I haven't made any commits on this library yet, so I'm gonna do my first commit and publish right here. So write a description, create your commit message, and FlutterFlow is going to warn you that some features will be disabled when you publish this, and you can't reverse that. That's because this is no longer functioning like a regular FlutterFlow project. It'll now be functioning as a library. Okay, beautiful. So here in our publish history, we can see that version we made, our description, who published it, the date, and our commit reference. So if you click on this, you'll be able to see all the data related to that commit. Okay, let's return to that project. Now that this project is published, it's ready for others to consume. So let me show you how that works. All right, so I've opened a new project, and if we come over here and we go to project dependencies, we can add that published library as a dependency. Now to add a library, there's two ways to do it. You can either select it from the menu right here or paste in the project ID that you can find by hovering over here, and that's this right here. But this is what we want, so let's select it and it automatically gets added. Now when you add it, you'll get this dialog box that will show you all of the resources that you're importing. Okay, that's great. Now if you forget what resources you have available to you, you can always come back in here and review them. And a quick tip, if you want to go specifically to one type of resource, that'll bring you right there. Okay. Now, FlutterFlow also supports adding as many dependencies as you want, so you can add more if you need to. Oh, and one other thing, if you're wondering what's going on under the hood here, it's actually pretty interesting because your FlutterFlow library is just a Dart package. So if you go down here, you can see that there's our library and we're importing it, and it's just as a standard Dart package. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we've published a project, we've imported it. Now, how do we use it? Well, for this component library, you can just add it like a normal component. So if I come in here, you can see I've got this section here, which is the imported components, and there they all are. You add them just like a normal component. Okay, beautiful. But what happens if there's a new version of the library? Well, let's go do that. Let's publish a new version and see how it works in the consumers project. So we're back in our UI library, and let's make a change to that card. So let's come over here to our column and just increase the padding to give it some more breathing room. Okay, that looks great. Now we want to go back and publish a new version. This is auto incremented, but it's fully editable if you want to change it. This is going to be our new breathing room, and a commit message, and commit and publish. All right, so that's all published. Let's go over to our consumer project. So nothing looks like it's changed here, but if we go to our project dependencies, you can see that we have been visually indicated that there's a new version. And if you drop this down, you can see, oh, there's the new version. And you can see that we've got this current, which means that it's going to use whatever the latest version of the library is. Of course, you want to be careful with that because newer versions with their new features may break your project. So use current with that in mind. Instead, we're just going to upgrade to the latest version. And in just a few seconds, that's been updated. So if we go back to our page, you see that we've got breathing room. Beautiful. So we've created, published, imported, and updated our project. But let's look at some practical examples. In this first example, I wanted to create a library for some cryptographic hashing functions. That is, I wanted to build out a utility library for this crypto package on pubdev. So I built out all these hashing functions so that now this is super easy to consume for any other projects. But this package was missing some cryptographic features I needed. So I built out this library using the Pointy Castle package so that I have a complete cryptography library, including encryption and decryption functions, key generation, message signing, and signature verification. This makes FlutterFlow libraries super powerful because you can combine multiple packages to make whole, rich, and expressive utility libraries. Okay, so let's look at how to use this as a consuming project. All right, I've added this dependency right here, and you can see all of these custom actions that got added. Now, one thing to note is that they'll not populate right here. They'll just be available to you in your action flow editor when you're adding action. So on tap right here, if we add an action, you can see all of our cryptographic actions right here under custom actions. And if you add it, it works just like a normal action, and you'll see in parentheses here where it's coming from. Okay, let's look at one more example. Another great use of libraries is API libraries. So here I've imported all of OpenAI's APIs. But not only that, is that I've built out the data models too. And this makes it so much faster to consume. All right, and once again, let's take a look at how to use this. All right, so I'm in my consumer project. I've imported the library. Now, if I want to go use one of those API calls, we're just going to come into our action flow editor like normal, search for API calls, and there they are. All my API calls ready to go. And the same is true with all my data models. So if I want to create a state variable right here, and this is chat completion response, and select data type, all of our data types from our published library are right there. The last thing to cover are library values. So inside your publish as library tab, you've got these library values. And these are variables that will ship with your published project. These are useful if you want to provide some additional options or configurations for your project. Some example use cases would be configuring different UI styles for components or different environment variables. So maybe we've got some style options, and we can set this to an enum that I've defined, and it's this styles enum. And there's two styles here. So you could go throughout your project here and set different styles. So maybe you want some text color options based on those library values that we have access to right here. So I could set some condition right here where I'm checking for those library values and setting the style based on which global style system I want. This allows the consumer project more configuration so that your libraries can be more expressive. And those are libraries in FlutterFlow. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next video.